All right, joining us tonight is Rachael Dean Wilson, head of external affairs with the Alliance for Securing Democracy. It's a nonpartisan initiative at the German Marshall Fund in D.C. Rachael, thank you so much for joining us today. Democracy, a big word, but not considered one of those kitchen table issues for voters. How much is it, though, on the ballot right now in terms of midterms?
Yeah, so it's actually more on the kitchen table than it has been in the past. There have been some polling done early this election cycle that showed that it was actually a top concern among voters. That was splitting up the economic pieces a little bit, but still I think it reached about 16%. So it's not non-existent, but I think we are at a stage in the campaign when real kitchen table issues like inflation and the economy are taking over. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't be talking about and we shouldn't be caring about the big picture issues like democracy. We're at a time where coming out of the 2020 election, faith in the election process has been shaken. There's been a lot of misinformation around 2020 and around election administration in general, which used to be an incredibly sleepy topic. And now it's one of the main issues around the 2022 midterms. And so just looking at those issues, we are absolutely need to take democracy into account this election season and make sure that we're all acting and behaving in a way that reinforces our process and our systems and is overall kind and gives the benefit of the doubt to your neighbor. I think that's probably the most important thing.
So NPR had a report out earlier this month saying, quote, election officials worry about potential poll worker interference this November. This tying into election denialism and misinformation in general. We should note, of course, that doesn't mean any potential meddling would go unnoticed or unpunished. And this is a concern about just some poll workers, not at all a majority of them. But in general, what are you looking out for in terms of not necessarily people voting, but how and by whom these votes are counted?
Yeah, so insider threats is something we're absolutely having to think about this election. It's something that, unfortunately, due to misinformation around the 2020 election, around voting and election administration, that we have kind of two things happening here. One is people that have volunteered to work at the polls, that is decreasing due to threats that poll workers and election officials are receiving. And at the same time, we have some new folks interested in volunteering that could potentially have ulterior motives or have already made up their mind about what this process is. And so it's really on the election officials and the polling station to have process in place to make sure that they are in a position to catch any kind of potential insider interference. I was in Maricopa County, Arizona this week, and one of the rules for the tabulation center there is that you have to be two people in the room at the same time. So you can never be alone in the tabulation room. And that's just one of the many safeguards they have to make sure that there are watchful eyes, both that they're transparent to everyone watching in the elections, but also, to guard against those types of insider threats.
All right, still a few weeks to go. Rachael Dean Wilson at the Alliance for Securing Democracy, thank you so much for joining us this weekend.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.